Each NFL season is filled with hundreds of storylines and developments that will eventually tell the story of that given year in the league. Now, in today's episode, what I'm going to be doing is taking a look at 5 players at the running back position for fantasy football that have had these developments come about here the last couple of weeks, that have had interesting developments and changes in their situations that can impact how their fantasy forecast looks the rest of the way this year. So, this video, we're talking 5 must-watch running backs for Week 6 fantasy football, diving into all those details, covering all the information and more in today's episode. So if you're new around here, drop down, smash that subscribe button. A humongous thank you to you guys. Yesterday, we officially passed 5K subs here on the channel, a big milestone for all of us. So big props to you guys. Thank you very much. And let's get into today's episode. All right, let's kick off today's episode with Travis Etienne of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Now, the reason I want to talk about Travis this week taking on the Indianapolis Colts is because of the development of the backfield snap count percentage that we've seen the past couple of games here. Now, as a result of this, I've heard a lot of chatter about a potential Travis Etienne breakout and overtaking of James Robinson in this backfield. And while I'll be upfront with you guys, I am not officially 100% there yet. I still have my reservations and my cautions towards this situation, but I do see light at the end of the tunnel here. I do see the reason for optimism, and we're going to talk through what that is. Now, again, first and foremost here, being objective with you all, I don't think that this is going to be a humongous breakout game for Etienne this week. I was an Etienne backer in the summer, and I'm a really big fan of his skill set and talent here. So, by all means, if that is the case, I'll be pumping my fist and celebrating right alongside you guys that are owners of Etienne at this point in time here. However, I view this as more of a result of the game script the past couple of weeks here. If we look at the Philadelphia matchup in Week 4, you've got an interesting situation where Jacksonville takes a 14-0 lead, then the weather starts to play a factor here. Lawrence has 5 turnovers, 4 picks and 4 fumbles lost, and a pick. And then you've got Philadelphia storming back and trampling them the rest of the game, thus kind of eliminating their offensive running attack against a really stout defensive line. And you've got the pass catching back, the guy that's used more, ably in space here. So that's my take on Week 4. Then last week, you've got a really interesting and odd situation against the Houston Texans where you score 6 points. 2 field goals on the day, and just everything was brutally difficult on the offensive side of the ball. So 2 very unique situations here, but what I will note is that in these past 2 matchups, it has been noteworthy that 51% of the Week 4 snap count percentage went to Travis Etienne, as opposed to just a 47% margin for James Robinson. So outsnapping him by 4% in that week's games. Then in Week 5 here, a 53% snap count percentage, so slight growth there for Etienne from Week 4. And then a 40% snap count percentage for James Robinson, showing a 7% reduction in his overall work for the day. So interesting stuff to note here nonetheless. Now, I'm still expecting J-Rob to be the goal line back for this team, the guy that gets those valuable inside the 5-yard line touches. But if Etienne can be super explosive here, get opportunities to score from distance, catch a high volume of passes, get 4 more opportunities in the receiving phase per game here, we could start seeing stacked double-digit performances in half PPR scoring. The other thing I will note here in those 2 matchups, 4.71 yards per carry, Week 4 for Etienne versus 3.63 for J-Rob, so more efficient for Etienne there. And then we also had a 7.1 yards per carry split versus a 2.7 yards per carry split in the last game for Etienne versus J-Rob. So again, not ready to declare this a breakout week here, but there is chatter for a warranted reason. Just wanted to address that for this week's games. We'll be looking at how this continues for a 3rd straight week. Now, for Rhamondre Stevenson, the New England Patriots running back taking on Cleveland this week, this is his first opportunity in 2022 to be the starting running back for this Patriots team. Now, I think Rhamondre is an incredibly skilled and versatile 3-down back with phenomenal size, capable ability on the goal line, and we're going to see this on full display here. Now, the reason this is a must-watch game for this running back here is because if he takes off and never looks back, Najee Harris could be left in the dust here. I think he's a little bit less dynamic than Rhamondre Stevenson is right now. Stevenson is the player under contract for a longer length of time here. I believe Stevenson's actually a free agent after the season. So this is more of a dynasty perspective here, but you might get yourself an opportunity where Rhamondre hits the ground running and, like I said, never looks back. He's a 3-down back in this league. As I said, had 27 touches in Week 5 versus Detroit with Stevenson taking over that full backfield work with Harris being ruled out with a hamstring issue, and this is a guy right now who is the PPR running back 18 with just 1 touchdown on the season, no starts this far, and 4 or more yards per carry in 80% of his contests, that being 4 out of 5 games played this year. So very solid all-around player, a complete running back, someone that I think embodies the brand of football Bill Belichick likes to play, and a very valuable asset for redraft leagues even from here on out because of his ability to potentially make a splash here in the next couple games or however long we're going to be without Damian Harris due to that hamstring strain. So moving into Kenneth Walker here, now a bit of a storyline at the rookie running back position. So for Ken Walker, this is his first career start. The only other players active in the backfield this week are DJ Dallas and Tony Jones Jr., a former New Orleans Saint. So very critical information there. If that points to anything here, I expect an incredibly high snap count percentage for Kenneth Walker here. We're talking 70+% of the snaps. I think that he will be the true 3-down back for this team. Now, maybe he won't have the utmost level of receiving involvement, but I do expect him to be present on the football field, touching the rock in key moments of this game. Last week against a tough Saints rushing defense in his first, kind of takeover of this backfield, he got just 8 rushing attempts. This is because Penny played part of that game, who's now out for the season with a lower leg injury, but he ripped a 69-yard touchdown. This isn't necessarily a player who every touch he gets is the most efficient option in an offense, but this is an improved offensive line, a team that especially in pass protection has shown strides, especially on the perimeter at the tackle positions. But for Walker here, he is a home run hitter. What he does is find the hole, the cutback lane, burst through it, and use that 4.38 98th percentile speed to get himself to the next level and potentially kiss the defense goodbye. So lots of stuff to like about Walker here. It's an interdivision matchup with the Arizona Cardinals. So, that's always something that I look at as kind of an X factor in a wild card situation. In division play tends to be something that has the potential to either ratchet up scoring or really harness it down. So I'm hoping Walker gets enough touches in this game to really be a solid player. Like I said, I'm super high on him here, very bullish on his potential and what he can be for fantasy lineups the rest of the season. And I think this has the chance to be the start to a story here of a potentially league-winning fantasy running back for the 2022 NFL season. Now, Najee Harris here, getting into a little bit more of the negative frame of mind. Najee Harris takes on Tampa Bay this week. He is the PPR running back 29. So just look at the draft stock. You invested, an 8th or a 10th round pick into Rhamondre this summer based on when you had your leagues draft this season. He's the RB 18 in PPR right now. And Najee Harris, who's a late first or early second round selection for you, is the RB 29 and an RB 3. The reason for this is because you've got yourself an absolutely rotting fantasy corpse and an offense that just cannot move the football up and down the field. So for Pittsburgh's offensive line, it's been an inept ability to actually create running lanes for Najee Harris. It's been a quarterbacking problem, not being able to be a balanced offense that makes the defense respect you in both phases of the game. And that's overall become a very troubling issue for Najee Harris and resulted in a lack of red zone opportunities. We don't have those carcass Big Ben Roethlisberger shovel passes coming in the check down area here to give us some free PPR value. And due to game scripts not being able to be in a position to run the ball late in games here, they haven't gotten him the football nearly even close to as much as they did last year. So Harris, fun fact, led the league in touches last season. He's currently have one 20-touch game in 2022 through 5 contests. So a significant drop-off there. It's not his fault. It's an offensive-wide issue, but it is impacting his fantasy scoring a lot here in this season. And look, I think the only solution to this problem is if Kenny Pickett can really take significant steps forward and give this offense a pulse. But that is a big ask for a rookie quarterback starting his second game in the NFL now against a Tampa Bay Buccaneer defense that is ferocious. They fly around the football field, and plain and simple, cut and dry, are one of the stoutest rushing defenses in the league the last few seasons. So they have regressed a little bit over the span of time here, but they are still interior-wise a very good unit, a unit that offensively also pushes the needle in terms of scoring points and taking that away from bad teams, the ability to run the football. So Najee Harris, another big game for him here, because with every one of these below 10-point performances that he has, his fantasy value tanks and tanks even further. So hoping for those of you that are stuck with him at this current point in time that he salvages his value, maybe gets an end zone trip and makes something happen. But He's not getting space out there. He's not getting red zone opportunities. And it's just been an inefficient disaster for him to start out this season. He's got 2 games with 10 or more fantasy points in half PPR. And then J.K. Dobbins here. This is a big week for J.K. in my eyes, in my opinion. I think that, this being the 4th game post-return from his ACL injury a season ago, actually that was a preseason injury, I think he should have the chance to really establish himself in this offense and show us what he's going to be going forward this year. Now, plain and simple, I wasn't drafting Najee Harris this summer because I really don't want to heap too much expectations on running backs coming off of ACLs. However, we've got a spot here with J.K. Dobbins where he did return and a little bit later in the season. They wanted to make sure he was 100% healthy, ready to go. He's been out here since week 3. However, he has not seen a snap share higher than 50% anytime this season. Now, he did hit 50% on the head once, but he's had a 43% and 40% snap share in his other 2 respective games, again, out of 3 games played here. So week 4 for Najee in this offense, again, a big deal for me. He's had under 10 touches as well in 2 out of the 3 games. So not giving us workhorse levels of opportunities and overall usage in this offense. Another red flag for me because we've still got a committee style system being implemented here. You've got a unique offense with Baltimore to begin with. And then you've got guys like Gus Bus Edwards who haven't even returned to this lineup yet. So, in the coming times when he's available to this team, who knows how that'll impact JK and his usage for this season. So it's, been kind of a struggle bus for JK outside of having 1 game where his defense created 2 early opportunities inside the 10-yard line for him against Buffalo, set him perfectly up for, goal-to-go scoring situations, and he found the end zone twice, had a 20-point day. But, after that game, people were saying Najee breakout is upon us. I said pump the brakes a little bit, and there we go. The next week was a pretty bad dud. So this is the game, though, and to be fair, in those contests, I was not expecting much from J.K. Dobbins. I did not, want to raise the bar too high for him here. So this is the game where I do that, though. I think that you're 4 weeks in now. This marks, roughly a month since his return here. I think if he's going to give us something this season, I would like to see it this week, maybe being a bit unfair. But in terms of fantasy value, this is a big one in terms of his trade stock, how you value him and view him as the lineup option on a week-to-week basis. So lots of boxes that I want to see JK check this week. He's super talented, very capable of doing so, and hopefully he can get the job done here against the Giants. So there you have it, our 5 running backs to watch here in Week 6 fantasy football. Of course, if you enjoyed today's episode, smash that like button and turn the bell on. If you haven't subscribed yet, do that as well, so you're never late for a new piece of content. Now, we've also got some links in the description of today's episode, some other videos to check out from this week as well. We've got a Week 6 fantasy playlist complete with lineup advice, trade advice, and all kinds of other stuff that you can go check out again on Sizzle Fantasy Sports' YouTube page, which is what you're watching right now. So go check that stuff out, you guys, and I'll see you there. We've also got a must-watch wide receiver segment for today, fresh out here on YouTube this morning. Go check it out. I'll see you there. Peace out.